welcome to my YouTube video. My name is Suzanne Bryan, and in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to work a brioche rib with a standard cable in pattern rather than a brioche cable. This is in conjunction with a tutorial that I have on Ravelry. It's called It Takes a Gilt Cardigan, and at this point in the tutorial we're working on the bottom ribbing for the sweater, and we do have some cables in the body of the sweater that we want to carry down through the ribbing. So I've given people multiple choices on how to work their ribbing with the cable. This is a knit 1 purl 1 ribbing with the cable. This is knit 2 purl 2 ribbing, and this is one color brioche stitch or prime rib, also called fisherman's rib or shaker stitch. They all produce the exact same results. They're worked in different ways, but they produce the same results. So in this video I'm going to be demonstrating how to work the brioche here but maintain a standard cable in this section. So I've worked up a little swatch. Looks like this. Let's get bigger here. This is the same thing with the cable coming down here. This is like your body fabric, maybe the cable coming down by the front button band. And what I'm going to do now, this is worsted weight yarn, and I have a US 7 needle, but we know that brioche produces much larger stitches. So in order to compensate for the difference in stitch gauge, I need to go down several needle sizes, and I'm going to go down to a US 3 to work the ribbing portion of this, even though the cable is here. You'll see on this swatch the cable didn't seem to be affected. This is the stockinette portion. Of course, there's not very much here, but you can see the cable still looks good on a US 3. So that's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to start out, I'm going to be working the cable first, and then I'll go into the setup row for the brioche. So here's our little cable, and this is the row where we just knit across, no cable crossings. And I'm going to the smaller needle. See, I'm going from the US 7 to the 3. I have the 3 in my right hand, the 7 in my left hand. And here's the rest of the cable. And the last cable stitch. Now we're going to be starting brioche, and I want my first brioche cable to be right here. So the very first stitch is going to be my setup for the brioche. So I'm going to knit this stitch, then I'm going to do a slip 1 yarn over. This is standard brioche terminology. It's where you slip a stitch point to point and you yarn over at the same time. Knit, bring the yarn forward, slip 1 yarn over, knit, bring the yarn forward, slip 1 yarn over, knit, bring the yarn forward, slip 1 yarn over, knit. Now, notice in brioche we only worked half the stitches. When we return on the second pass, we work the other half of the stitches. So it takes 2 passes to equal 1 row here. We already worked a full row here. We worked all of the stitches. We only worked half the stitches going this way, and we're going to work the other half coming this way. And then we're going to do a wrap and turn right here on this purl stitch. Then we'll work the second, the third pass, fourth pass, and then do our second row here. So this will be 4 passes, 2 rows here. So row 1, 1, 2, 2. And I'll write this out on paper and show you. I'm going to draw a diagram to show you how to do this all the way across your cardigan, which is much larger than just this swatch. So now here is pass 2. It's still row 1, but pass 2. The first stitch we're going to slip point to point. Then we have the stitch with the yarn over. We're going to knit this. This is called a brioche knit or a bark. Slip 1 yarn over, knit. Slip 1 yarn over, knit. Slip 1 yarn over, knit, slip one yarn over, and this is where we're going to, that's that purl column from the cable, so we're going to wrap that stitch. We're just doing a wrap and turn. Now I will connect videos up here in the corner. On the first video will be on how to do brioche in one color, so you can get a whole video just on that. Then I'm going to show you the other videos that go with this. So for example, you can do this with a 2-color cable as well. So we did our wrap and turn. Then we're going to do a brioche knit, slip one yarn over, brioche knit or bark, slip one yarn over, brioche knit, slip one yarn over. This is the first pass of row 2. And the next time I do these 2 passes, I'll do it in the throwing method so you can see that. Turn the work. This is the second pass of row 2. So we slip the first stitch, point to point, then bark, slip one yarn over, bark, slip one yarn over. I have to loosen my yarn up, it's down on the floor. There we go. Bark, slip one yarn over, bark, slip. Now this is our wrapped stitch from before. Do you see where? Nope. Slip one yarn over. This is the wrapped stitch. See the wrap there around it? We're just going to knit that. We're not going to conceal the wrap. And then we're going to work across our cable on the wrong side row. This is row 2 of the cable, or the wrong side row. It's not necessarily the row 2 of this design, but the second row that I'm working across the cable. So now we made 2 rows on the cable, and we made 2 rows of brioche knitting. Now brioche knitting does not look very attractive for 2 rows. It takes at least 4 rows, which is 8 passes, to make it look good. So now I'm going to work this in the throwing method. Same thing. We're going to do our cable crossing. Throwing. Let's do the throwing. So we knit 2. Purl 1. Now we're ready to cross our cable. Let's see, we'll keep this here because we're going to move it in 2 stitches. And I cable without a cable needle. If you haven't learned how to do that yet, you owe it to yourself to do it, even though it may seem hard. You really owe it to yourself. It'll make your life so much easier. I will also link up here in the corner. I have a video on that. Of course I have a video on that. Knit 2 from the cable. Whoops, that's a split stitch. Then we're going to move the other 2 legs in to this side. See, we're just doing the cable in the normal fashion. We don't do anything special for the brioche for the cable. Do you notice that I work on the tips of my needles? That makes all the difference in the world in your tension. I size the stitch on the barrel, but I work the stitches on the tips of the needles. Of course, when I'm talking, I can't knit. Usually I can talk and knit, but okay. One more purl. Now that was a right side row, correct? Across our cable. Now we're going to be doing the first pass of a right side row across our brioche. So we knit this one. This one doesn't have a yarn over, so we slip one yarn over, and then we knit, slip one yarn over, knit, slip one yarn over, knit, slip one yarn over, knit. That was the first pass of the right side row. Now we're going to do the second pass of the right side row. I'm going to continue in Continental because I can work faster. You saw how to do the throwing there. So we slip the first stitch, bark, slip one yarn over, 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 and this is going to be the stitch that we wrap. See, we wrapped this one right here, so we're going to wrap this one and turn and go back the other way, because now we did 2 passes for the right side row. Now we need to do 2 passes for the wrong side row. So bark, slip one yarn over, 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 knit, turn, slip that first stitch, bark, knit, bark, and that's not a slip stitch edge. The reason that you're slipping it is because, remember, each stitch is only worked every 2 rows. So that's edge stitch. You do not want to be working it every row, or you'll get a really long edge over here. See, it matches perfect. Now we have that wrapped stitch. We're just going to knit it. Then we're going to work our cable on the wrong side. And we're back at our starting point. Now we have worked 4 rows total of the cable and 4 rows total of brioche. Now it's starting to look like brioche. Can you see it? After 4 rows, 8 passes. So this took 8 passes. This took 4 rows. And you see how our cable is looking lovely. So let's go back and, oh, and remember where we wrapped those stitches? They're in here in the purl ditch, so you can't see them. I've experimented with picking them up and concealing them. It looks better if you just leave them alone. For example, let's look at them on this swatch. There you can see them. There's a wrapped stitch, wrapped stitch, wrapped stitch, wrapped stitch. It's where you see the 2 bars together. And it doesn't show at all. So I don't think that you need to conceal those wraps. Here's our work in progress here. Goes like this. Same as this. Isn't that pretty? Now if you're working your cable in intarsia, you would just continue working your cable as you were in intarsia through this, switching your yarns just like you have been already. Now one thing I did do that is different when I did the second cross, like I'm getting ready to cross here, and then I brought the legs out, I only brought them out over 1 stitch. So I end up with 2 purls, 2 knits, 2 purls, 2 knits, 2 purls, and that gives it this nice even look here. I did the same thing on this swatch, so it makes those legs evenly distributed. Okay, so how do we plan this on our cardigan? Let's say we have our cardigan front here, the other front over here. Here's an armhole, armhole. Here's the cable coming down the back. We have a cable coming down the front by our button band. This is for those who have cables. And we may have a cable coming down our pocket, right? So during these cable sections, we're going to work them as the standard cable. as shown in this video. These are the sections that will be the brioche in here. Okay? Brioche, 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 brioche. This is going to be our cable coming down. Cable, 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 cable. So let's turn this over like it would be if we are knitting, because this is a top-down cardigan. So this is a right side row here. So the way you would work it is your standard cable, and then you would do your brioche, 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 standard cable, brioche, standard cable, brioche, standard cable, brioche, standard cable. Now we're going to do wrong side. The wrong side is going to require that we first finish we're going to do a wrong side here, and then we're going to do the second pass here, do a wrap and turn, third pass, wrap and turn, fourth pass, and then continue across the cable. Then we'll do second pass over to here, wrap and turn, third pass, wrap and turn, fourth pass, and work across the cable. Then we do a second pass, wrap and turn, third pass, wrap and turn, fourth pass, and work across the cable. Second pass, wrap and turn, third pass, wrap and turn, fourth pass, and work across the cable. That makes 2 rows of knitting. 2 rows on your cables, 2 rows on all the brioche, and you would just continue working in that fashion. I hope this is clear for you. So there you go. This is all about working your ribbing in brioche stitch combined with the standard cable. Now you can do cables in brioche, but they don't look like this. And since all the cables on our sweater are already coming down like this, and we did not work them in brioche, we want to continue them down through the ribbing. So take care, happy knitting, come back and see me next time, join my groups on Ravelry and Facebook, share my videos with your friends, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.